The DFB team is infiltrating the Universal Orlando scene today to update you on the top restaurants you're going to want to put at the tippy top of your must-try list for 2025. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. We are back at Universal Orlando, eating and munching and sipping away on the best food and drinks these parks have to offer, as well as dreaming about the restaurants opening soon that we cannot wait to try for the very first time, which is a perfect segue into my first point here. The most anticipated restaurants. Can you believe that in just a few short months, we will be stepping through the gates of Epic Universe for the very first time? Feels like only yesterday I was popping onto this channel and going, hey guys, so there's this new Universal Orlando park that was just announced, but time flies, my dudes. Epic Universe will be opening on May 22nd, 2025, and in case you haven't realized, it is already February here in 2025, so this year is going unbelievably fast. Now, with the grand opening of Epic, you're going to be able to experience a ton of new rides, new shows, new gift shops, and restaurants. Now, I wish I could talk about every single Epic Universe restaurant in the works today, but that wouldn't be fair to Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure. So what I'm going to do instead is list off the top restaurant in each land that my scriptwriter Bria and I are most excited to try when we start tasting our way around this park. And then I'm going to have all the other restaurants listed in our free Epic Universe Ultimate Guide that you can download for free by scanning the QR code you see on the screen right now, or by heading to disneyfoodblog.com/epic after this. Sound like a plan, Stan? Fabulous. Let's get to it. Celestial Park. Okay, so my plan is already starting to crumble because I'm having a hard time choosing which of the two full table service restaurants I'm looking forward to most in Celestial Park. On the one hand, you've got Atlantic, which has surf and turf. And on the other hand, you've got Blue Dragon, Pan-Asian restaurant. This is authentic Chinese, Japanese, and Thai entrees, and it looks so cool. Okay, fine. I'm going to choose Blue Dragon. Here you're going to be able to dine inside a bustling courtyard where it's always evening under the glow of ethereal lanterns. And if that doesn't sound cool, then you tell me what cool sounds like, because that sounds really stinking cool to me. There's also going to be a tiger bar inside this place with a giant neon tiger sign and lots of Celestial Park specific Easter eggs featured throughout the restaurant. This just looks so cool to me. Next up, Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. Okay, Bria, what do you think?
Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. Ugh, AJ, I do not envy the choice you just had to make. Fortunately, the choice I'm about to make is quite easy. I'm most excited for Café L'Art de la Serene inside the new Ministry of Magic area. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the eerie, seedy, underbelly-ish look that is the Three Broomsticks in Islands of Adventure and Leaky Cauldron in Universal Studios Florida. AJ will talk more about both of those later on. But I think this new elegant and artsy Wizarding World cafe is going to be a nice change of pace. Universal has stated that at this new cafe, guests will be able to enjoy French sandwiches, plat du jour, desserts, and baked goods, as well as the ever-so-famous butterbeer drink. Oh, and apparently there's going to be hidden details of the Fantastic Beasts in the tile and mosaic designs. So you bet you're going to catch me staring off and trying to see how many of those I can find while I'm there.
Oh, heading over to Super Nintendo World next. We're getting a little full, but that's okay. Bria and I, this is what we trained for. Okay, this decision is going to be a whole lot easier to make, and that's because there's really only one themed quick service we've got to look forward to in Super Nintendo World, and we already know what that quick service is going to be like since it already exists in Universal Studios Japan and Hollywood. The Toadstool Cafe is going to put the Toads to work as they create a variety of themed Mario-inspired dishes, including options like the Mario and Luigi-themed burgers and the Super Mushroom Soup and the Piranha Plant Caprese, Fire Flower Spaghetti and Meatballs, tons more. Now, this one's probably on par with Minion's Cafe over in Universal Studios Florida, more on that later, where the theming is a little over the top, the decor is great, and the food is, well, we're going to reserve judgment. We'll see how it goes. Moving on to How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk, Miss Bria.
How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. If you need to know where to find me in Epic Universe, search Mead Hall first and then go from there. Mead Hall inside Isle of Berk invites everyone to come and feast like a Viking on a variety of hearty meat, fish, and sandwich entrees. But what I'm super intrigued by are the collection of meads and ciders that'll be on offer here, because that feels all very Renaissance dance festival coded to me, and I'm here for it.
Yep, I cannot wait for Mead Hall. In fact, I might just move in there. Okay, Dark Universe. Finally, we've entered Dark Universe, where once again, I find myself at an impasse. If I could only choose one place to eat in this creepy, foreboding world, which would I choose? I mean, Das Steakhouse quick service themed around an ancient catacombs sounds like a good time. And Lacey's Cottage is going to have snacks like cinnamon bread. What do you think? Will it be on a par with the cinnamon bread from Dollywood? But I guess if I'm just picking one place to eat here, I'm going to have to go with the one where the windmill suddenly bursts into flames every so often. The Burning Blade Tavern is another Dark Universe quick service restaurant that pays homage to the iconic windmill from Universal's 1931 classic Frankenstein. This place will allow diners to eat in an old mill, which Darkmoor Village's monster hunters have transformed into their hangout. That's us, we're the hunters. And it sounds like there's going to be a lot of theme park staples served at the tavern. Burgers, pretzels, wings, bratwurst, specialty beverages. But I'm just excited to see this pyrotechnic work in action. Universal teased that this tavern will burst into flames several times an hour. And to accomplish this, Universal will use two types of fuel to create different types of visibility during the day and evening. So much science. All right, what are we going to do for breakfast? I know you're probably in a hurry to get on with your Universal visit, but don't forget about the most important meal of the day. The Universal parks don't have a massive amount of breakfast options park-wide, but there are two specific quick services that I want to talk about because they are A, located toward the front of the park, and B, super easy to grab a speedy morning bite from so you're not wasting too much time fueling up. The first quick service is the Today Cafe over in Universal Studios Florida. Just to give you a point of reference, here's the front gate of Universal Studios, and here's where Today Cafe is located in the park. See, not too shabby at all. Today Cafe is themed around that long-standing NBC morning show, which makes sense that one of their specialty offerings would be breakfast. Breakfast sandwiches are pretty substantial here with options like the egg white Florentine and the smoked salmon lox bagel, basic ham, egg, and cheese on ciabatta, and a breakfast sandwich placed on an everything croissant. Nope, not an everything bagel, a croissant with the everything bagel seasonings. You can also pick up other morning options too. Overnight oats, fruit bowls, fresh baked pastries. The Today Cafe stays open all day long with lunch and dinner offerings too. And what about Islands of Adventure? Actually, our recommended quick service breakfast here is even closer to the front gates of this park. Just take a look. Crescent Moon Bakery is located right off port of entry and serves sunrise breakfasts until 11 a.m. These include the classic ham, egg, and cheese croissant. You can switch out for ham or bacon on this one if you prefer. The on-the-run continental breakfast and the ham, egg, and cheese empanada, which does not have a bacon swapping option. I'm sorry. As an honorable mention, I'm also going to give a shout out to Lard Lad Donuts back in Universal Studios Florida. You might have to make your way a bit further back into the park if you want to pick up a Lard Lad inside the Simpsons area, but the journey might be worth it to score one of these giant pink circular pastries that are bigger than your face. These massive pink donuts from Lard Lad are locally sourced from an Orlando bakery called Donut King, which just so happens to be the same place where Disney gets their incredible Joffrey's donuts too. So what am I going to say? They're delicious in both parks. Now, if you've got a big/early dinner that you need to save room for, you may want to get a lighter lunch or more substantial snack to tide you over until then. And you know, here at DFB, we are big snack fans. So that's what these snacks can do for you. Kind of tide you over until your big dinner. Big snack number one, crepes.
AJ, I already know what you're going to say.
It just still baffles me how mascarpone-averse you are, Bria. Like that strawberry hazelnut crepe from Central Park Crepes in Universal Studios Florida is still one of the top 3 snacks I've ever had in that park.
I just don't like the cream cheesiness of it. I was expecting straight up Nutella and strawberry, and what I got was a whole lot of cheese.
Regardless of how you feel about our ongoing mascarpone debate, Central Park Crepes is a great little kiosk over in the Hollywood area that serves both sweet and savory handheld options year-round that are always made fresh.
And while the sweet stuff here isn't my favorite by any means, I do love the savory crepes on offer, like the smoked brisket and the seasonal options that rotate throughout the year too, especially the roasted turkey one that appears around Thanksgiving time. Oh, that one's so good.
Ooh, roasted turkey, I need to try that. Big snack number 2, shareables. Typically, Cafe La Bamba in Universal Studios Florida is a quick service where you can order heartier Southern California/Mexican-inspired entrees like burritos and rice bowls. However, they also have a shareables section on the menu with options that you can easily split with a friend if you're looking to munch on something lighter. Shareables include items like chicken taquitos, a fresh salsa flight, and the classic chips, guac and queso. Now, the Bumblebee Man taco truck in Universal Studios Florida doesn't leave what it sells to the imagination. You're going to find street tacos here with options including carne asada, roasted pork shoulder, and marinated chicken. Each taco order also comes with a side of chips in your choice of red or green salsa. And it's potato time! The London Taxi Hut over in Universal Studios Florida, right outside King's Cross Station, is your one-stop shop for all things starch. And when you're craving a savory snack, sometimes nothing quite hits like a nice filling baked potato. After eating a lot of the stuff in Universal Studios, which kind of feels like, I don't know, sometimes you can have sugar overload, and this baked potato just feels really healthy. Anyway, that's coming from me, the world's biggest potato fan, so do with that what you will. Here, you can get jacket potatoes, those are baked potatoes, topless shepherd's pie featuring lamb, beef, and an assortment of veggies, broccoli and cheese, or beans and cheese. Now, don't forget, our big hack here is that you can also ask them for just a plain baked potato with just butter, and that'll actually cost you less, even though it's not on the menu. Secret menu hack there. Big snack number 5, probably my favorite one of all. We're headed over to Islands of Adventure, and this place, I know you don't think you want to eat here, but I promise that you do. You've got to go to Green Eggs and Ham in Seuss Landing. They offer tons of loaded tot varieties like buffalo chicken and pizza and straight up green eggs and ham. But the Who Hash is my favorite of the bunch, as you know, because this one serves your tots straight out of a Who Hash tin can. And really, how much more portable can you get? Also, how much more fun. Despite its tin can container, all the ingredients are evenly dispersed instead of being solely loaded onto the top, meaning you'll get that corned beef and onions and white cheese sauce all the way down to the bottom. I love a well-distributed set of toppings. I can't tell you how much difference it makes. All right, so when it comes to quick service, Universal really tends to go over the top with theming. And I mean that in a good way, usually. These places and foods are just fun to look at. So I'm going to categorize these themed quick services for you today by the ones that are good, meaning the ones that have, in my opinion, the best food offerings. The intriguing, meaning the ones that have a variety of food offerings, but the aesthetic is what really draws you in. And the quirky, meaning the ones you're not quite sure what you're looking at and eating, but boy howdy, you're just glad to be there. So we'll start with the good. When it comes to Wizarding World food, both Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure know how to do it right. Leaky Cauldron inside Diagon Alley and Three Broomsticks inside Hogsmeade have a very similar vibe, despite them being in different areas. They're rustic, they're a little dreary, and they kind of remind me of the tavern featured in the Legend of Sleepy Hollow cartoon. Anyone else? Okay. While both menus offer a British-inspired fare, you will find a selection of different types of British foods depending on which one you're visiting. Leaky Cauldron serves stuff like fisherman's pie and Scotch eggs, bangers and mash, and toad in the hole. That's an English sausage baked into a Yorkshire pudding and served with onion gravy. They've also got this warm, sticky toffee pudding made with dense cake, crunchy toffee bits, and creamy, melty ice cream. Seriously, really, really good. While Three Broomsticks serves great feast platters that you can share among the group, as well as hearty amounts of breakfast offerings too, served until 10:30 a.m. daily, including a traditional English breakfast that comes with fresh scrambled eggs, sausage links, black pudding, English bacon, baked beans, grilled tomatoes, sauteed mushrooms, and breakfast potatoes. And I know some of y'all are going to come at me in the comments when I say this, but I'm going to say it again anyways. There is no normal Muggle soda available at these locations. All you're going to find is water and tea and a variety of special, wizard beverages that you might love, but you also might not. So if you want a soda to go along with your meal, make sure to pick one up before you head into these restaurants. Now, here's a quick service we haven't given a whole lot of love to on this channel yet, though we need to, and that's Thunder Falls Terrace. Thunder Falls is located in the Jurassic Park section of Islands of Adventure. It's a place where you can grab options like rib platters and rice bowls and prehistoric raptor wings and even full-on rotisserie chickens for all you major carnivores out there. While I'd pay a visit here just for the menu options alone, the dining room is also a major selling point. Not only are you going to find a lot of seating, but if you sit next to those massive windows, you'll have a great view of the Jurassic Park River Adventure water ride where you can watch people getting drenched over and over and over again. That's what I call dinner in a show. Moving on to the intriguing. Okay, we're going to hang out in Islands of Adventure for this point because there are some mighty intriguing quick services inside this park that tend to get overlooked. The first is Circus McGurkus Cafe Stupendous over in Seuss Landing, where you're literally going to be dining under the big top. You'll want to look up as often as possible while you're here because there are circus acts happening over your head, plus the high-in-the-sky trolley train ride circles around the dining room too. The food at Circus McGurkus walked so that Minion's Cafe could run. You're going to see a lot of wacky and colorful options like the red fish, blue fish poke bowl, the big top burger with a bun as red as the tent is served in, the chicken and biscuits with a peanut-shaped biscuit that any elephant is bound to trample you for. Note though, despite the shape, the biscuit is not made with peanuts. And the magician meatball cone, which has a splatter effect, very similar to one of the entrees in Minion's Cafe. Plus, what could possibly be the cutest little cupcake I've ever laid my eyes on, the caramel corn popcorn cupcake, which comes in this little popcorn packaging that's adorable. Is the food here going to be over the top delicious? Probably not, but it's not bad either. More than anything, I think this place is going to be a blast for kids, and the prices aren't terrible for the portions you're receiving. Okay, Bria wants to talk about one more for ya.
And now, allow me to direct your attention to Comic Strip Cafe over in Toon Lagoon. I know I just wrote that these islands of adventure quick services are oftentimes overlooked, but I will say that Comic Strip Cafe is an ongoing joke with my family because when we can't agree on anywhere to eat inside this park, we always go, well, Comic Strip Cafe it is then. So I've eaten at this place more times than I care to admit. And to be fair, it's usually not too packed here, so that's where the commonly overlooked part comes into play. Comic Strip Cafe is colorful, it's vintage, and it's covered with cartoons and panels and word bubbles aplenty. Are your kiddos gonna recognize the characters featured throughout this cafe? Probably not, but you might, so that might make the theming here all the more fun for you to experience. When it comes to food, think food court dining. There's lots of different options for lots of different palates, including sandwiches, pizzas, pastas, Asian-inspired cuisines, and more. Again, it's not going to be the most memorable food ever, but it's going to get your family fed no matter who's craving what that day.
Moving on to the quirky. It's Universal Studios Florida time. I've been talking about Minion's Cafe a lot already, so I think it's about time we really take a look at this place, because it's definitely quirky with a capital Q. Much like the Toads are going to be put to work at the Toadstool Cafe in Super Nintendo World, the Minions are in charge of prepping your food here. And that means you've now entered a dining world full of bananas and just sheer chaos. Okay, so it's not all bananas, but it definitely is all chaos. While I will say that several of the food items featured at Minion's Cafe are definitely more style than they are substance, some of the best items we've found here are Mel's Meatball Mountain, which is a wood oven-baked stuffed pizza with meatballs, basil, fresh mozzarella, and marinara. That's got that splatter sauce effect like you found first at Circus Margurkis. This is probably the thing I would most likely order here, by the way, if you wanted to actually eat the food here. Now, Agnes's Honeymoon Soup, this is made of green tomato soup, crispy pork belly, tomato gummy bears, and basil oil, served with a pimento cheddar grilled cheese sandwich. And yes, the tomato gummy bear is weird, and the green soup is weird, but if you can just bypass that, then it's a pretty good soup, and the grilled cheese is decent. And then you've got your sweet stuff like Otto's Pet Rock, made with peanut butter and jelly mousse, which I absolutely love. I think this is one of the cutest and most fun desserts, and I think it's really good. Also the PX41 Punch. This is an evil minion style drink made with lemonade, strawberry, and kiwi flavoring, a purple whipped topping, and blue raspberry pop rocks. That one's fine and largely inoffensive in terms of flavors, so there you go. Now, overall, I think the quality of the food at Minion's Cafe is better than Circus Margurkis, but all in all, your kids are probably going to fall in love with both locations, so you'll probably have to eat at both. One of the newest places to grab a bite in Universal Studios Florida is the DreamWorks Imagination Cafe over in DreamWorks Land. Unlike the rest of the quick services we've talked about today, this little cafe isn't much to look at. It's got some covered outdoor seating, and that's just about it. However, some of the food items here do fall into the quirky category, if just for their namesake alone. Like Ogaroni Pizza, Can't Stop the Donut, Boss Baby Beignets. Reminds me of picking up a cereal from the grocery store, not because you're craving it, but because it's got your favorite character or celebrity on it. Now, while these foods are pretty much what you'd expect them to be, they're also pretty satisfying. However, if you're looking for something even quirkier inside the new DreamWorks Land, you'll want to seek out the snacks around these parts. Because how often will you get the chance to eat a Schrecksel with green cheese or an ice cream cone shaped like troll hair? And if you said pretty often, actually, then I need to know where you live, because what do you mean? All right, it's time to get controversial. Once again, I'm going to be limiting myself just like I did earlier when talking about Epic Universe restaurants. If I could choose only one sit-down restaurant to prioritize in Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios Florida, and Universal CityWalk, which ones would make the very top of my list? Truth be told, these decisions weren't all that hard for me to make. For Islands of Adventure, I gotta go with that award-winning table service, Mythos, located over in the Lost Continent. This is a restaurant made for all you Greek mythology fans out there. I mean, just take a look at the outside of this restaurant and you'll know that's true. You got several ancient figures carved into the rockwork, and that attention to detail continues in the dining room too. The setting also reminds me of Ariel's grotto if Ariel decided not to hoard human trinkets and instead to become a minimalist, or maybe kind of the Cheesecake Factory. But anyway, when it comes to food, the menu features Mediterranean, Asian, and American fare, including options like the spiced charred octopus, beef loin, medallions, fork, knife, and spoon grilled cheese, and the butternut squash mascarpone ravioli. Sorry, Bria, but Universal sure does love that silky smooth cheese. Now, word of warning before you go, this restaurant tends to run frigid all year round, even in the summer. You might find yourself feeling a bit goosebumpy in between bites of ravioli, so you may want to pack a light jacket in your park bag if you plan on making reservations for Mythos in 2025, especially if you're someone who tends to get chilled to the bone fairly easily. Now, hidden gem alert. When you stop by the bridge near Mythos, you can often hear the groans of the troll hanging out by the water behind the restaurant. You won't see him, but he will make his presence known for all who wish to lend an ear. For Universal Studios Florida, I'm going to choose Lombard's Seafood Grill. And I think it's fair if you disagree with that because the Irish-inspired Finnegan's Bar and Grill is a great competitor. However, my argument against Finnegan's is that the things I would order here, I probably ordered if I went to the Leaky Cauldron earlier that day. Since this is a table service with options like fish and chips and bangers and mash and shepherd's pie, all of which I can pick up from Leaky Cauldron for a few dollars less. Meanwhile, Lombard's is just a really chill place that has several tables with great views across the Universal Studios Florida Lagoon. At Lombard's, surf and turf is the specialty, with options like sushi grade ahi tuna, Maine lobster bisque, grilled swordfish, Baja mahi tacos, lobster rolls, and more fish and chips. Apparently Universal loves mascarpone and fish and chips, just not together. But maybe they should try that. Now here's my big 2 cents for you. Yes, Lombard's is probably the best Universal Studios table service, but to be quite frank, the bar's not set too high for this park. If it were up to me, I'd probably prioritize the snacks and quick services versus the table service locations, unless I'm just really looking to get off my feet and in the AC for a while. So if you're on the fence about booking reservations for dining at Universal Studios Florida, I'd say maybe skip it for now and prioritize eating a nicer meal in the CityWalk area, either that evening or during some other day during your Universal vacation. Now, speaking of CityWalk, if I'm going to choose one and only one restaurant to prioritize here, then I'm probably going to go with Toothsome Chocolate Emporium. But ask me again next week and I will change my mind. The thing is, CityWalk's got a pretty massive variety of table services, way more than you're going to find in the 2 Universal parks combined. We've got options like Bubba Gump's, Margaritaville, Vivo Italian Kitchen, Cowfish, the works. But I think the most interesting option in the bunch here is going to be Toothsome. It's a chocolate-making, time-traveling, steampunk table service to remember. It's 50% table service and 50% candy shop. Hold on, that math isn't mathing. Maybe it's more like 70% table service and 30% candy shop. Yeah, that feels better. Whatever the percentages actually are, if you don't want to eat here, but you're just intrigued enough to pop in for a visit, you can check out that front of house gift shop and pick up some sweets to go, like macarons or truffles, cotton candy, you name it. Inside the restaurant, you got a whole menu of unique options to enjoy, like the warm chocolate almond bread, the French onion soup, the bacon and brie flatbread, the Monte Cristo, loaded waffles, more crepes, and the wild mushroom chicken risotto. Side note, if there is risotto on the menu, there's a good chance Bria's going to order it. I witnessed this with my own 2 eyeballs when we were together last. I always thought that I was the biggest wet rice fan in the world, and then I met her. Now, what Toothsome is really known for, however, are its over-the-top shakes. These are pretty massive, so if you were wanting one to round out your meal, I'd suggest sharing it with a few people at your table, because that'll be hard to finish after throwing back an already pretty hearty entree. Or you can always come back again later on and order a to-go shake from the milkshake bar after all your food is finally settled. Now, something that I will say is that the desserts here are very, very well marketed. They are very fancy, and they look huge and exorbitant, but they are probably not worth the price tag. Does that mean you shouldn't order it? No, I totally understand that you want to try all that stuff. I do it too. But is it worth the money? Probably not. And finally, if I'm going to choose a sit-down meal at one of the Universal Orlando hotels, I'm going to choose Biche. Biche is a dimly lit, sophisticated restaurant located in the Lowe's Portofino Bay Hotel that features Italian-inspired dishes with handmade pastas and seasonal risottos. Y'all, if you're looking for good Italian food, this is good Italian food. And before you ask, yes, Bria did order risotto here. she is a risotto fiend, I tell you. Now, this definitely isn't a restaurant you're going to want to book reservations for if you've already had a full day of eating lots of food. Although I will say, I had a full day of eating lots of food. I was not excited about having an entire dinner, and this was still the best thing I ate at Universal. So I highly recommend it. It's a great option if you're looking for a good date night vibe without leaving the bubble. Now that you've heard it all, it's time to put y'all to work. What would your perfect Universal Orlando dining itinerary look like? Create the perfect day of eating for breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinner, and drop it in the comments so we can keep this discussion going. And don't forget to pick up our ultimate guide to Epic Universe right now over at disneyfoodblog.com/epic. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.